Welcome in, Barbarian Horde. I am your main man, and reminding you to pick up your copies of Within the Ring of Fire. Get your physical copies on drivethru.rpg.com, and you can download the character mask there, character sheet for free. You kind of have a better idea of what we're talking about for the game from that, examining the mechanics. The game will be like no other that you have played, a merger of role-playing with mechanics in a fashion that is not duplicated anywhere in the RPG universe. And I quite frankly think you will learn more as a veteran player or as a brand new player from reading the role-playing section or reading the sections after that that bring in role-playing to mechanics, bring in role-playing to combat, bring in role-playing at every level and every stage of the game. You can pick up the physical copies again on drivethru.rpg, and you can hit up your main man for PDF bundles. Only 75 bucks gets you every PDF ever put out for the game. First 4 out, you get some more bonuses with that, and you'll get your PDFs before anyone else. Only 75 bucks. Everything for Within the Ring of Fire. Next book is coming out very soon. Working on 3 more after that as well. Not to say that's the limit, but they're in physical. Well, they're in Word docs being worked on, if you will, baby. So today, by request, I'm going to be talking about archaeology in RPGs. Try to say both at once, didn't I? So that is something that is a great focus for a game, and that's something that we put forward as a focus right in chapter 1 of Saga Book for Within the Ring of Fire, about how to do that and how you want to do that. And when we were doing the packages, when the game first came out, there were bonus levels you could get where I'd run a game and I ran, I don't know, four of them, which is I just ran the same concept 4 times, 4 different groups. I think the games went 5-6 hours, something like that. They were all the same thing. They were an archaeology expedition to Katik, which the players assumed really a large number of different roles within the archaeological, easy for me to say, and within the archaeological expedition. I find archaeological expeditions in fantasy games amazing. I love them, and that is not the only time I have used that base. In fact, like I said, it's right there under the explanations of, okay, what do you do with this game? What can you do that's different? You could try that with your kind of hack and slash type games, with your Dungeons and Dragons or games like that. And I think the base creation style of them, the lack of statistical detail to what the character actually is, as opposed to the detail of what the character can do in terms of combat, may make that a vastly lessened experience over a game that is immersive, that is about getting in the skin of the character, like Within the Ring of Fire, or even something like Vampire the Masquerade or Call of Cthulhu, which I think are all excellent games for this sort of role-playing experience, because you really want to focus on it. You want to focus on that terror, that dread, and you want to have characters that have a greater degree of fragility than, say, your Dungeons and Dragons near indestructible demigod that's running around. You want whatever's down there not to be, oh, we're gonna fight it and beat it or get treasure. No, you want it to be a mystery, and if you take it in a dark turn, you want it to be terrifying. It might be a deal where everyone just pulls stakes up and runs, or runs without pulling stakes up, because you have to go. You trip at people in the way. Get them, not me. And in a fantasy world, what could be down there? Particularly if you have, right, so example, in this game, we have the leader of the expedition, the individual who has solicited the funds and perhaps has his own funds. In this particular game, is a Typhon, and that's a certain person from Within the Ring of Fire, who are well different, say, from different from, say, a Lovecraftian or, say, a Yuan-Ti. And there's a video on them which you may well want to check out on my channel, exploring them in a bit of detail, a bit different detail than Monsters and Men does. They are fully playable Within the Ring of Fire, and you can see the video done by my good buddy Lou, and you can subscribe to his channel, where where I play Zan, the Typhon, so you can get a better look at their role-playing experience as well. Anyway, this Typhon's running the deal. Typhons are a bit shady, and we keep it a mystery. He's not explaining exactly what they're looking for. He's giving them little bits and clues, and talking about artifacts. And I don't mean powerful magic items, artifacts. You know, that's archaeological speaking. Artifacts of these old cultures. And in a fantasy world, you can have a species that's died out or extinct, or maybe in hiding. Maybe their population has dwindled. Maybe there's something of tremendous interest buried there, like a forgotten god, or something as simple as acquiring these old relics, non-magical, non-powerful, nothing of value in that esteem, but for creating a more real-world archaeological aspect to understanding the culture, getting into some cultural anthropology and understanding that of this ancient civilization, unearthing an ancient city buried beneath the sands, or buried beneath, a meadow, or what have you, underneath another city. These things can be really interesting, and you could get many, 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 many hours of play. I would suspect you could easily log 100 hours of play on just that concept alone. I mean, I would suggest easily, and then you can get into either selling the artifacts or what have you. And there may be something specific there that is being looked for and can generate a lot of interest. Digging up body parts of something, to best be forgotten. In a Cthulhu type game, you could definitely have players dig up some sort of ancient demonic creature. I wouldn't, obviously not Cthulhu itself, as he is the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, but I suppose you could change it around, and you could do something like that. But when you dig up something like that and you look and you're like, oh, what is that? What is that? And then, oh, you see it. Wow, that you can get a lot of mileage out of that. That could be very interesting. Something like Vampire the Masquerade, you could definitely be doing an archaeological dig to uncover some ancient Methuselah that is literally, like something from Tartarus, chained and kept hundreds or even 1,000, who knows how far down beneath the earth. This creature, now it's vaguely coming out of torpor, so it's aspecting people, and it's caught on to you, and you're there just as a person. And then what happens, and that could be a hell of a vampire game. This big group, and the creature just goes nuts in its frenzy and starts eating everyone after they open up the box that has these ancient rusted Iron Age chains on it. And it has these strange markings. And you have a character there that could learn, but don't open this. It's Nyx, goddess of night, or it's Dionysus, or what have you, Cronus, Helios, whatever you want to present there as your vampire, and it goes nuts and it eats the rest of the party, and then maybe it embraces the characters. And now you're like, well, we're neonates, but we're embraced by this 1,000-year-old Methuselah, but he doesn't care about us at the same time. Or he does. Or he's manipulating them, or he's puppeting them, and he's using them as mouthpieces. So, just from that aspect, just right off the top of my head, that's, you could work a whole story off that. You could easily work a year's worth of play right off that deal. What are his motivations? The players may begin even to try to work against him, but that's folly. That's not going to get over. But they might think, right? Was it gonna stop him from thinking? He doesn't care about that, because in there doing that, they might be going to do exactly what he wants. After all, he's the puppet master on the grand stage, and they don't realize that this thing that is a living god, a fourth or fifth generation, third generation, second generation vampire is doing these things. Or fuck, maybe it's Cain. Who knows? But after that, you should really make it quite epic in that, and you can do this sort of a paleontology deal where it's real world, but it's fantastic real world, right? And you dig up this unknown dinosaur, and you start putting more and more together. It starts becoming apparent that it's a dragon, and like, of course, you're gonna have your skeptics. Oh no, that's not a dragon. That's this and that, and this, trying to disqualify it, right? And then the other one, the other, like, because you kind of set them up. Be like, all right, look, I get your character concept. It's great. I want your character to be more, non-traditional, like more radical. And you tell the guy, look, man, I want your character to be real conservative on things. And that presents, just giving them those little snips. And you should always give your players little bits like that. Always feel free to do that. Say, look, I need your character's concept's cool, but I need you to add this to it, or I need you to add this to it. And there's a little line, and that can bring about a lot more later down the line, because a good player will go, ooh, okay, well, I need to see that this is not a dragon, and I need to start explaining other things. And then the one that wants to believe or whatever has the wild theories already, he sees what it is. But he has that shaky reputation, and you can get in a lot of things, and you can get into, okay, if someone's going to steal this and try to discredit the work, and I'm finally going to get my just due and show them all, and you can work a lot with that angle. So that's a wonderful thing to do. Now, beyond that, you can run the Indiana Jones type of game where it has a lot more adventure and a lot more action. And that's something you could probably do at least a mediocre job with, say, a more clunky system, something like GURPS or Dungeons and Dragons, like a D20 type system that drags a bit and that isn't narrative in its design. I think you could still do something like that. You know, you have all your Dungeons and Dragons traps and you know, kind of goofy things like that. Or you could put everything like that. Or you could run it maybe a bit more gritty than, say, Indiana Jones was, a bit more. And Indiana Jones did have, from what I remember, from when I was seeing it, but I remember it had a lot of traps that were like, and I think are largely to blame in many instances for some of the less believable things we see along the trap lines in a game like Dungeons and Dragons. So, that being said, it has a lot of great action sequences. You're off in another culture. You know, you can work in different time periods. You could be working like in the 1890s, or you could be working in the future. You can be doing all sorts of things. You could have the player characters some kind of weird fantasy type deal, and you can do a Planet of the Apes gimmick on them, like they're elves or fucking dwarves or space reptiles, whatever it is, and they're digging up on the planet, like, and then they find, you know, something. I mean, you wouldn't want to use the Statue of Liberty. They find something like that, you know, something iconic, and then they're like, oh, what is this? And the players go, oh, well, we didn't know we were on Earth. And you can work that kind of deal. That can be harder to get over without people going, oh, you know, you don't want to be eye rolling, but it can definitely be done with the appropriate detail. Particularly if your game has a darker bent, I would recommend a darker bent than a sillier bent on a game like that, because again, you don't want to elicit eye rolling. You don't want to, you don't want to be like the 2000 release of Planet of the Apes of Mark Wahlberg. It was, boy, you know, you want to have players go, oh, you know, that's what you always really want. You want, oh, you know, when you do the unveil, you know, when you give them the twist or whatever, you want them not rolling eyes. You want them with you, just like in a movie. You know, you want them with you. So I would leave that up again to your judgment to see how well you think that you could pull that off. Still an option. So options are good to think about. However, absolutely to the high end, I like them in fantasy games because you're digging and you have no idea what you're going to find. Just examining the culture of a species that no one else knew about, or that was written about, and you even introduce it somehow subtly in the game, in the writings, maybe just one of the character backgrounds or whatever, of whatever god, and talking about how they made these, and these were the first people, or they were the second people, and how they were slaughtered off, and then you do that unveil and you show them, you show these people, and possibly when you bring in some necromantic aspects where they're able to interact with either ghosts or a corporeal undead, or something that's set up almost like a repository of knowledge. For example, the large mounds that contain the ancestor spirits in the orc lands in Kavega Thale. If the orcs were gone, someone could stumble in there and through different processes speak with them, and that would be, that could provide enormous amounts of insight, interest, and stories. You could have one skull after another tell stories, and really give the players a lot of interest, something different. So, particularly when you're running fantasy games, you really want to find stuff you can do that is in no way hack and slash, because people have seen so much of that, and it's so easy to throw monster, with whatever monster stats are, with whatever monster's description is, just monsters at them. And that can be fun and all. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but you need to find substantially more to do. And an archaeological dig can do that, and it can still have that. You know, there's no reason you can't have a rival group of archaeologists that are like, yeah, we're going to sit over here and vulture on them, we're going to attack them. Or maybe they're digging a few miles away from you for whatever reason. You know, different groups have found out this information at the same time, and they've dispatched different people. So how do you do that? How do you use the espionage? Or what happens if the other group gets it? I mean, you become the random monster encounter. You go over there and try to stop them, try to block them, try to spy on them, try to steal from them. Or do they do that to you? Are there other groups? You awaken unknown ancient dangers. And you can incorporate many of these things depending on the level of time you want to invest in this plot line. And again, I said, I know I could easily work 100 hours, easily 100 hours of game time, just springboarding right off that plot line. And I think I could work a lot more. I think I could literally work years of RPGs every week off of just that springboard plot line. And I think a lot of you out there could do that as well. I think it provides a lot of interest. And you want to get down there, get gritty, talk about the smell of the soil, talk about the sound of the picks and shovels hitting against clay, against dirt, against stone. Engage those senses. Talk about how the sun beats down, how their skin is tan, how they're getting sweaty, the flies, the mosquitoes, the smell of everyone else just stinking around them from the perspiration. Talk about the excitement when small items are found. Or, you know, what happens when one of the individuals there, like, they try to pocket, you know, some small item, and they're like, but they get caught. You know, do you give them a beat down? Do you use it as leverage over them? Do you, you know, somehow go steal it from them? They're like, oh, what happened to it? You know, how do you bring that up? Because you can just go and steal it from them, right? And throw it down. Oh, look, like the next day, look what I found. And the boss of gimmicks, like, oh, look how excellent job you've done. And I was like, wait a minute, oh, this guy does something to me. And then, you know, the fisticuffs come. And you can always have great combat when it's not insane. Like, I'm going to murder you now, which you don't want to do. You know, you don't see that in movies and TV. It's not everything leads to murder, which role-playing games do. Hey, we go there and kill him. That's how you get experience, which is one of the greatest disservices ever done to role-playing. You want to often build things slow. All right. So as you did that to this NPC, this Ember, and then you kill them. Now you can't do anything else with them. But if you bring it up and then it's a shouting match, 2 sessions later, so fisticuffs ensue. And maybe one party begs off. Maybe your character is too weak. They're like, oh no, or hey, that character's too weak. No, please, no. But then a third, and then it keeps building, and then eventually you did that thing you would have done right off the go. So look how much more we got out of it. Look how much more valuable it is. Because we built him up, we built you up one side of the mountain, the other side, and now we have it up here as a main event instead of down here as a squash match. And you can get over, and that can be spotlight for you. And as a good player, you don't ever want to kill your own spotlight off. That's one of the absolute worst things you can do. Because what happens then? When you have a spotlight, if I can have this feud with this guy and it can keep building, that's the screen time I get. You understand? And that's screen time you get. Why would you? It'd be like, all right, look, if you're a character on a show, right? Like, let's say like Game of Thrones. Would you want to cut your scenes, or do you want more scenes? Do you want your scenes to be longer? Just think about it like that. You're there to play, to get your stuff, to get your shine, to get your spot in. So don't take away opportunities to do that. And Scorched Earth policy, I kill him immediately. I pull up my battle axe and kill him right in front of everyone. Really? Do you? Is that what you're gonna do? Or do you brawl, or do you just argue with each other and then we have a pull apart? You know. And I really can't express enough. Watch 80s professional wrestling and how it's booked, and apply that psychology right to the party characters, right to other characters, PCs and NPCs that are around them in a confined space, and you can really use that psychology to get your characters over amazingly. To have that player like, oh, you know, I had this great storyline built up with my character, with lots of heat or lots of shine, or whatever, just to get them more over. So I think archaeological digs are an incredible gaming experience. I'd like to hear from you down below if you've done that. And I want to remind you to go get Within the Ring of Fire and get all the PDFs from your main man directly. Only $75 every PDF that'll ever come out for Within the Ring of Fire, and some extras, only $75. Or you can go to drivethru.rpg.com and pick up the physical copies of the book. Thanks.